Good evening, punters, and welcome to the last Anderson in the Box ever in the whole world. Thank you. So enjoy it while you can, and the devil take the hindmost. But tonight's the night, as Rod Stewart once so memorably said, and we have people here for you to look at who will interest you. Now, my first guest tonight became a top model at a very early age. She had it all, but she kind of succumbed, as maybe I did myself, to the pressures of the high life and descended into alcoholism and drug abuse. She's got a story to tell. Viewers will probably remember her running out of her house, throwing away the keys of her flat, dumping her boyfriend, throwing away her fake fur coat, but she says, I will keep my boyfriend's small Volkswagen vehicle. Please welcome Paula Hamilton. Paula Hamilton. Hello, Paula. How are you? Have a safe. You look nice and tanned. Have you been somewhere?
I have. I've been away in the Caribbean.
We call it the Caribbean here. That's because we've never been there. Have you enjoyed yourself? How long were you there?
I was away for 2 weeks, but it's the first time in 2 years I didn't have a holiday.
Right. Now let's talk about you. You started off. You were a very, very successful model when you were very, very young.
Very young.
When did you first kind of hit the big time?
When I was 21, which is quite late for a model today. They normally start much younger, which is quite sad.
How were you spotted?
How was I spotted? I wasn't. I mean, I would never wait to be spotted. I'd get right up there, you know.
Right. Were you ambitious? I mean, did you push yourself?
I was very lucky. I came in from Tokyo after living there for a year modelling. I had no idea what modelling was really about, because it was sort of like, you know, marigold gloves and catalogues and things. And then I went to Germany, and they looked at my portfolio, and they said, that's ridiculous. And I said, why? They said, well, it's you know, you won't work with that book. You'll have to go to Italy. So I went to Italy, and the first day I arrived, I met a photographer called Fabrizio Ferri, and we hit it off, and I was then put on covers and billboards, and it was just sort of an overnight thing. I was very lucky, being in the right place at the right time.
So you were introduced to what I suppose used to be called La Dolce Vita, the high life, and it didn't particularly agree with you.
No, I don't think it agrees with anybody, really. I mean, you know, no, it didn't. It didn't agree with me, but then again, in what way did it not agree with me, Gerry?
Well, that's what I would kind of like you to tell me. I mean, you get involved with the old Bolivian marching powder.
The Bolivian marching powder.
That's cocaine, folks.
Oh, that's right.
Talk about that. No, seriously, I mean that's I mean, apparently, from what I can read, it's a danger if you're a model, because in some ways it can help the way you look.
Well, I never thought about how it helped me look. I mean, it just kept me away from the way I was feeling, because I'd never been particularly comfortable in the way I felt about myself. So when I found something that was either, if you find alcohol, or for us it was at that time cocaine, and it was all over the place, and it was something that you didn't really sort of think, oh, it was taboo, you know what I mean? If you're seeing your agent doing it, you're seeing your doctor doing it, you're seeing your lawyer do it, it was a sort of a very hip thing to do at that time. And it worked with me very well, because it kept me away from feeling me. So anything that made me feel not me, I'd take, very gratefully.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of suicides in teenagers because they didn't discover alcohol and drugs. I think if I didn't take alcohol and drugs when I was younger, I think I would have been a teenage suicide, because I wasn't a happy young girl. So if you find something that makes you feel good, and I'm sure that a lot of you in the audience have had a drink when you felt upset or when you felt anxious or nervous, and it kind of settled you and it made you feel like you could cope. And if you continue to carry on that way, as I did, and I believe I had the behaviour, there's a behavioural pattern before, you know.
But conventional wisdom would dictate that perhaps if you had a disturbed childhood, which I think you did have.
I think 90% of us have disturbed childhoods.
No, not really. But I mean, a childhood that haunts you. You know, many of us weren't happy.
Yeah.
But few of us have a childhood that haunts us. You know, can I ask you, did you have a childhood that haunted you?
I had, you know, every day of my waking life haunted me. I just didn't know how to cope on this planet. I mean, you know, I was just one of those people that, as a child, never knew how to cope.
But conventional wisdom would dictate that anyone who feels like that should really stay away from alcohol and drugs.
Well, does it educate us in our schools? Does it say on the side of a bottle? Do we have social studies on it? Yeah. Do you know it's the third world's biggest killer, besides heart attack and cancer? Now, that's quite horrendous. And yet here we are in 1995, placing men on the moon, and not knowing about an illness that affects every member, somewhere along our line, every family member has got one. Okay. Somewhere tucked away. And it's like, you know, it comes under the categories of, because it's not something that we can diagnose and say, okay, stop doing it, and we do. It's something doctors don't want to treat, it's something people don't want to look at. And, you know, here I am, an alcoholic. Now, let's move on, because that's only one part of my life. I've got plenty of other things to talk about.
But what was the turning point? You realised you were in trouble. maybe you had a few years where you battled with it. What was the turning point? How come you got away from it? Both the drugs and the alcohol.
I think the turning point in it, I didn't want to die. And I knew there was life out there, and I knew I wasn't supposed to feel this way. And I felt like I was seeing life behind a glass cage. And so I felt that, you know, it was either a case of drinking myself into oblivion continuously, or stopping it, and to do that I needed to get help. And there's a lot of stigmas attached. I mean, who wants to, you know, to sort of say, I'm going to grow up and be an alcoholic and a drug addict? You know.
Yeah, a few people say that.
Well, yes, and, you know, believe me, it's not that much fun.
I know.
So, you know, that was a turning point, and that happened in 1991. I had a public display, a relapse, and, you know, mine wasn't behind net curtains. Mine was, I'm a public figure. It came out because I was known. And
you're still involved in a way with that kind of thinking, because you have a new film out, or will be out shortly, I'm not quite sure, with Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah, June the 2nd.
Called Mad Dogs and Englishmen.
Yeah.
I mean, drugs are involved in that. Tell us a little bit about that.
The film Mad Dogs and Englishmen was shot by a director called Henry Cole. It's his first film.
Yeah.
It's a low-budget film, and Elizabeth was actually auditioned for the film 4 hours before she wore the dress. So she wasn't chosen for that. She was chosen as an actress. And I think she did a very good job. As I said, it's a low-budget film. It is about drugs and alcoholism. It's about obsession in relationships. It's about the aristocracy, and right down to you know, the drug runners and cocaine and heroin and alcohol and marijuana. And it shows a sort of a behind the scenes, a little bit of what it's like when someone, you see, it's a classless illness. It doesn't matter who it bites in the bottom.
I know.
I've been in treatment with priests, politicians, housewives, nuns, and I've been in 5 treatment centres.
It's like a mad dog, it'll bite anybody.
It's a mad dog that'll bite anyone's bum.
Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Yourself and Elizabeth Hurley, let's have a look.
Can we talk? What? You sit down, please. Have you spoken to your father?
No, but he left me a lovely little cheque.
Yeah, he's left you a lovely little message as well.
Yeah?
You're not going to get another penny out of him until you clean up.
Oh, what have you been saying to him?
I haven't told him anything. I haven't had to. He's seen everything.
Yes, I wish you'd stay out of my life.
I don't seem to have much option right now.
Yeah? And that's on general release on, is it June 2nd, something like that, start of June?
That's on June the 2nd, yeah.
Now, we talked about, you're a model turned actress. We were talking to Saffron Burrows here a while back. She was talking about the difficulties in that people kind of tend not to think that a model has the potential to be an actress. And she said it's rubbish, and of course it is. Did you have any difficulty in that kind of thinking? Yeah,
I mean, I went from modelling to TV presenting.
Yeah.
And in between that, I started my own film company and a charity. And I grout floors, and I plaster walls, and I like gardening, and I like to turn my hand to what I'd like to turn my hand to. I don't want to be pigeonholed. It also is it's a little bit too that where people think because you're a model you think that you can act, and I think you have. It's in the proof of the pudding. Also, we're very lucky because we're able to get in front of people more easily than someone who's acting, who could be, you know, acting their heart out but not being able to get those contacts. So it's a very privileged position to be in.
I didn't know you were a plasterer.
I'm a look at those hands.
I see that. The calluses, there's none on mine. Are you in the union?
No, I'm not.
Well, nice to know. Well, model, plasterer, and actress Paula Hamilton, thank you very much.
Thanks for asking. Thank you.